So this video is focusing on the poem Exposure from the anthology with Edexcel and Pearson. This is a poem by Wilfred Owen, who is was a writer of the poems from the First World War. And the reason I've started on this section I think is really important because it helps with our contextual understanding, which in the exam you've got to be able to refer to as it's one of the core skills that you're tested on. So knowing what the poem is about before reading it is one thing I would advise you to do. It might help you with a better understanding, and you can link the emotions and explore and analyse the language in a bit more detail, knowing what his intentions were. So I'm going to use my context colour or my meaning colour from Smile. Just having a look at some of this information here to get us started. So one of the first things that I'm drawn to, and this information is all on the BBC website as well as in your booklets, is that this is a poem that focuses on misery and the misery of the World War I soldiers. So I've got a bit of context there. I know where I am. I'm in World War I. I know I'm with the soldiers, so it's their perspective, and I know that the core tone is going to be one of misery. I've been told a setting here, they're waiting overnight in the trenches, okay, so I should be imagining that I'm going to see words about temperature, about the weather, and as I look a bit further down here I can see, although nothing is happening, there is no fighting, they've got danger of being exposed to extreme cold. So that directly links to the title there, Exposure, being open to the elements. And another key word or another emotive word that's coming out there is terrifying. So even in the first two sentences of this explanation, I already get a sense of the tone and the language that's going to be used because I now know where we are and what the emotion is. So there's a little bit of information about structure here. So if I flip back and find out what my structure colour is, blue. Okay, so I'm going to use my blue colour to help me there with structure. That might help me when I'm looking at my information. So the 8 stanzas are gripping because the speaker describes the trauma of living and struggling in poor conditions, and there's a sense of despair and of lost hope. So I know that there are 8 stanzas, and they're talking about it linking to the meaning of despair and lost hope. So what I would start thinking about is, okay, this is quite a long poem, 8 stanzas. Now, why on earth do they want it to be 8 stanzas long? And how does that link to these emotions? So I should be starting to think, okay, maybe that is describing the idea that it is a long process. They feel like they have been there a very long time, that they have lost their hope, that they feel stuck or stranded. So that could be one way of viewing the length of the poem. So I'm going to write there, structure links to emotion, just to remind myself that when I'm looking at the poem, there's some of the things that I'm going to look at. Now there's a lot more information there that you could go through, but you can hopefully get a sense of how to work through the context of the poem. So what I would advise you doing now is pausing the clip here and having a go at just analysing the rest of it for yourself. See if you can pick up on anything else that you would be expected to see, like the language or any other emotive words that you're being drawn to there, so that when you're reading it, you know what to look for.